There you go. Now we can see everything. Right, I'm a little bit ill still, so apologies for that, but we're going to get started. How's it going, Valuba? I've not seen any of T1's games yet. Talked before about the fact that I've been a fan of theirs for a huge amount of time. So we're going to, as before, jump to the end of the draft and then start talking about it. The draft layout is different in every region because it's fun. Keep you on your toes. The drafting is quite different as well. We talked before about like Maokai being super high prio in LEC, but nowhere else really. So I think you're going to go through this whole draft without seeing Maokai, and it was first picked in the LEC on the weekend, which was a few days after this, but still. It's also on one patch later, the LEC, so this is one patch before. And for example, Victor is getting first picked in LEC, while buffed Victor only gets picked third on, or 2-3 on blue. Okay. Okay, so way last. This is all in the same order. Skarner, still Perma. Kalista, Cassante, both super, super strong. Corki not picked as well. So again, the difference is, big one is the Jace first pick, which is super, super flexible. So you can go tank Jace, you can go bruiser Jace, and you can go damage Jace, and they're all viable and they're all good in different situations, and it can go top and mid. So we talked before about pro teams prioritizing like flexibility a lot in the early picks, and that helps because not only is the champion flexible, you can literally flex the builds. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's super strong as an early pick if you can play it. And of course, Doran both and Faker can play the Jace. It's not exactly a Faker champion recently, but still, he has in the past. Aurora super early. Again, it can flex. I don't know if they just want to always put it into the Jace, but Aurora in the lane swap is always going to be much harder. And we got the Caitlyn Elise on 4-5. So with Kai'Sa gone, with Ezreal picked, it's just Kate Elise. Ezreal not. So I would assume T1 probably can look for a lane swap here, because Aurora in the lane swap is really, really tough. And Kate Elise, I think, is very good in the lane swap. Like, even though Elise is this kill lane, you don't want to necessarily have the kill lanes there straight away, you know? So Elise is insanely good at dives. She has a lot of setup, and level 3 she's super strong, but level 1 she's not. So we'll see what they go for. As before, we're going to go fast, pause, skip back, those kind of things. It's not a co-stream, it's a proper review. So if they're going for this swap, we want to see how they get it as well. So whoever's stronger gets to take the more aggressive way of finding out what's going to happen level 1, and they get to just walk in, because if you stack as 5, it's going to be bad. Is that flash trade? Sorry. Because Elise can like stun someone and that's it, or she can do a little bit of damage and that's it. So at level 1, she's kind of not really a champion. So flash trade, generally beneficial to the team that wants to be on the front foot. So level 1 from Elise still really, really tough. Neither Hex Flash or 5 gold extra for Caitlyn. Yeah, and they're going to go for the lane swap. This is really crazy, by the way. So they lane swap, they know they're going to lane swap, and they try and still cheese the red buff, and they just go in like fully blind. So that costs flash and a bunch of time. That's really, really silly. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay, my bad. It's never gonna work. It's doomed. Okay. But now you can see. So what happened is, what I was saying before, the team that's stronger level 1 can just like force in to play on the level 1. And T1 really want the lane swap, because Elise and Caitlyn are worse. Here, Nautilus flash trades with Elise. Neither person's got a Hex Flash, but I think it's so. It's kind of a wash in the lane swap. The trade.
Right now, it is looking like it's actually going to be Smash and Carrier opting into the lane swap. I think it's the predicting a lane swap to opt in for not the lane swap.
But here, this part is super weird. So they know that we're going for a lane swap. They know that the enemy is invaded. They know that the enemy should know that we're lane swapping. Why are we just going here? We waste flash and we also waste a bunch of time, importantly. So Vi's just going to be ahead of Xin. So I don't know why they didn't see that coming at all. That's really worrying. And they're the ones doing the lane swap. So you know this is coming. And yet, it's still... So this is really bad. And he would already have red. So he's not going to be slowed down on red. And also he would actually stop Lehens getting to top lane to stop this dive. This dive also, I don't like the timing of this. This whole thing is like really scuffed. I watched a bit of both of them. So I saw Lost Returns just absolutely roll and Ruddy lost. Which is kind of funny. I just think they're still not very good, and I don't understand why they're still not very good. I really thought they were going to win. Even after the first game, I really thought they were going to win. So now they're going to try and dive on the next set of waves. Maybe. But for me, it's a bit... I don't like any of this swap. Because also, I also think Jace is probably diveable here. Like, if I can just stop Jace getting to tower... So if I can just wait here for another tiny little bit of time and stop the Jace, because level 1 Jace versus level 3 Vi with red buff, you can always come back for these because you've got push in bot lane. And then this whole situation is not good at all. So he shouldn't get any of this wave. And this also just... Yeah, there's no wave. This whole thing is mistimed, and it's all from coming in here. Like, if you already... You know this is coming, we all should know that we're going to dive this on what wave. Like, whatever wave they decide, everyone should know this. And so this whole game is just kind of fucked by this random go for red buff. If you're doing the lane swap, one of the big advantages is you get to plan everything out and you get to know what's going to happen. And it seemed like they're doing a lane swap and Zin's trying to get 3 sides of the jungle. But even if Xin greedily gets that red buff somehow and the enemy don't invade him on it and they don't stay even after they've invaded, it's not that big a deal to not be timed for this dive. Like, it's much better, in my opinion, to get your Caitlyn at least like stronger. So this is already like weirdly disjointed. Don't read too much into it, but could be much better. And then that means they're not in time for the dive. They're not in time to stop Nautilus coming to help. So Aurora's doing absolutely fine in the lane swap. Like, yeah, you get to avoid the level 1 with Elise. And when they're level 3, they'll probably be good 2v2. Okay. They still get the dive. But imagine how easy this would have been if it had been like way more organized. I don't think the Hens needs to walk up here. Like, just let the wave crash, save your hook, and the hook is the danger thing, because the hook into snare will kill someone under this tower. But he hooks away. He tries to block the cocoon and hooks away, but as soon as these minions are dying, like, you just don't need to be this far forward. You know, like when your wave dies, now you just back off. So here you just back off, like, okay, I don't need this auto on this minion. He buffers the cocoon, but it does nothing, and he wastes the... Yeah. So they still managed to get the dive, even though firstly Nongshing, like, either maybe T1 think that they are going to invade, see that we're swapping, and then they're going to run to top lane or something.
Catching Nongshim off guard, definitely have opportunity there to drop the wave, leave the turret. So credit to T1 for finding the dive angles faker. We'll spot the back. Okay, he also knows that the
but that's just really silly, I think. And that's why, like, Aurora is just so bad in lane swaps. So this early Aurora pick, I'm not a fan of.
experience. Because of that, Kingen, who actually had a much better early setup, he's now behind. Like half of a level. Yeah, so T1 doing a really good
Torin
job
tries to play for the freeze.
just keeping cool, calm, and collected.
No.
And it looked like it was a bit dire, but they didn't panic.
Okay.
So now that everything's sort of
So now it's just 2v2, but you've skipped the part where Elise is weakest.
So T1 pretty happy with how that one's gone. Gideon being able to pick up this first dragon would certainly help even that out.
And they're going to stay top because they want to play for grubs. I'm assuming that things haven't changed and T1 is still the grubs team and they super high prior grubs and then they move around the map a lot.
In position to head over towards these grubs. And Ona making his way back out onto the map as well as Lands and Dew, probably going to be on the turret a fair bit in this matchup. Yeah, just need to respect the threat that comes down from the Elise. The difference with the Morgana lane, which obviously has the extra safety, and is that, Morgana Q is very slow, not so much for Cocoon. And even though Lux is pretty respectable damage, Elise really does just feel like, you're playing against jungle Elise, but she's in your lane permanently, which is very fun. In terms of rebirth that she has available.
Yeah, so they're going to get the push in top, which allows them to get the grubbies. And this is what we talked about the other day, like you secure the push and then you reset because you have to just reset out of vision. So Faker had push in mid and then reset, but because he resets on that pink ward or just after that pink ward, they don't know he's reset. So the opposite mistake we saw in the LEC where someone just reset, but they reset on vision. So it can allow the contest to come through.
Interesting thinking about how these early skirmishes are going to play out because T1, I imagine, will just be looking for a pick with the amount of CC they have available early. And for Nonchim, when they started out with this Aurora...
And T1 still probably love these pick comps. Like, you got 4 of the same... No offense to top laners. You got 4 of the same team. And it's probably the least impactful change in terms of a roster change. T1 will be... Gen G will be interesting. Both did look good and bad this season so far. Yeah, I mean, that matchup's always interesting. I haven't watched enough to know. I've just been watching like highlights and stuff. So it's the first one I've actually like dove into. I mean, Caitlyn and Elise, if they can get push on your tower, like eventually you hit something.
I kind of have a hard time seeing how Nongshim is going to do in these early skirmishes besides just trading across the map. I think it'll have to take some heroics from someone like Lahan, perhaps, the engage that he's looking for. Is smashing a bit of damage here. There's a flash forward. They get on top.
Okay, so they just don't respect the 6. So the 6 spike is always going to change how a lane goes. And not only is carrier 5, but also these 2 level 6s aren't as impactful as these 2, like for the fight. So you've got to think about how your lane is changing as you're playing it. So for example, I don't know, if both mid laners are low and you're Syndra and then Syndra levels up, it's like that's going to be a massive change. But if you're Talia, yes, you get the stats. You get like hundreds of gold worth of stats for leveling up. So it's still a big deal. But the 6 one isn't different from anything else, right? Because it doesn't change the fighting. Whereas here, it's going to change the fighting. And if they don't do anything, they're just going to gradually get poked down. You gradually get, eventually you catch a cocoon. Eventually you get comboed, and so he's just flashing forward, and they just one shot. But even if they don't one shot, this is still a really good time to just like force a fight. They're going to both flash. They use ignite, but they just hit that window really hard, and that's why I think Carrier needs to know this, and he can just repel the Nautilus ult. But again, that one wave, that 1 second was the time they needed to back off, just like the tower dive, and it's just a little bit of a sloppy mistake. I've got a bit higher standards, I think, when I'm reviewing these games than the LEC ones. So he flash ults and flash towards one person, ults the other one. No way needs too much ass whooping.
And they kill her within that time, which is a pretty small window, but Lahan's release 6 years ago, right? He built her in the lab, like he's the guy. This is his recipe.
It's Lord's work. It's worth doing.
It's a cooking show, and like beef Wellington for Gordon
So again, they go for the swap because the dive threat is so big. Because Aurora is terrible against dives, and Elise is really good at dives, and Xin is really good at dives as well.
I've seen some PPs about that. Yeah, but like that's just gonna be that should be just feats of strength. It's gonna be Sandals going over to T1. It's not the end of the world, but the cross that trade doesn't seem great here. It's gonna be what, like the plate and grubs? Hey, 2 plates, but still, you're giving the dragon as well. T1 gonna be very happy with this. Yep, getting the fancy shoes is definitely the main thing.
So they get the tower, and they trade the grubs for the dragon.
Let's see what he can be saved. Death Ray comes down, but not gonna be able to do too much more. My God. Okay. Smash and carry it. Now just get more free time to start. So the thing is, Nongshim like narrowly escaping and doing cool mechanics to get away from things.
And you clear that wave probably and then base. I think you don't keep pushing this. Jace has gone back to top lane. Kate's going to back with a shit ton of gold.
It's fitting for LCK, I think. That's kind of the vibe. Yep. You know, fast, fiery, and it's got a Noxian theme. You can see everything looks a little bit like it's the height of summer in Australia.
They got a bunch of plates.
Everything just turns yellow. It used to be green, not anymore. It's all dead, and so it all just goes yellow. And so it's a similar vibe. You know, it's got a heated up sort of theme. On there.
So Ezreal is still decent with levels.
Doran is trapping Jew, or is it the other way around? Well, at least it's there, so I'm pretty sure that after Lens is there as well. Let's see whether he can tank up enough damage here to keep Jew alive. The answer is yes, but Smash is going to come up. The same situation.
And on the swap, he just like overstays, as in like stays longer than you expect.
They don't have enough energy to stop the Demolition Man from coming in.
Because he can still TP back to bot lane, so he has that free time. Like, so when you have these longer lanes, while you push this in, all the way that it's coming back, you have time to do something. And here, I mean, it's not super productive, but he can wait in this bush because he doesn't have anywhere to be, and he knows that if he's going to go for it, he needs to go for it so that he can TP back to bot lane. And we're just generating tempo here by pushing this wave in, and then we use it by just trying to play for this gank. So the use did nothing, because we also used the generation, which was to use TP and to just let it push back, means that it doesn't cost us much, just cost us a TP to try that play. And Caitlyn can respond to these situations quicker, and so any of these fights are going to be more useful because her ult like definitely hits. Ezreal ult is dodgeable, and she's got the push. So it's flash for knock up because he thinks that the follow up will be there. Yeah.
Trying to get a little bit back here as Ona goes in. We'll be able to get a nice little knock up on King and an income. Doran, nice shot blast will connect. King is in trouble. Smash grabs it with the very end of the Peacemaker, and he's not making very much peace with that one this game. But hence moving on over as well. But
yeah, and the Jace comes up. So rather than just keep pushing, he follows because he clears the wave and then follows. So he's going to be there, but he's just going to be there a bit late so that they know that they can fight in river. And they just go like instantly, and they're just coordinated enough to know that they're going to be there on time. So he just can't be here. He's clearing out river when they've got no prio in top lane. Like, he can't be here. Maybe in a bit when Aurora's a bit closer, he can be there for a little while. But he's just not respecting enemy timers. Stays very healthy, even with Karius Cocoon not quite hitting her. The damage is already done. I mean, it hit. Why hit Fisher? Yeah. And also doesn't matter, right? Just a kill. As Doran actually with really good time there as well. And this is exactly what you expect from T1 in this type of competition. Continuous roaming, being ahead of the opponents in the rotation, and looking for these continuous skirmishes as -1 for Fisher. 2k gold deficit at 14 minutes is pretty sizable. It is. So it's already a really big gold lead. A lot of it's to do with the plates, of course, but somewhat even. Yeah. Except from being able to kill minions and be in the right spots and take plates and that sort of stuff. It's plates and it's tops, yes. But Aurora's always super vulnerable in these swaps, so I really don't like the early Aurora pick. Especially when you leave it open to like, you don't know if they're going, like, Caitlyn is so good in the dives as well. Like, you just let enemies stack lane swaps and then you don't call it. And yeah, you got that funds in thing, but it's still hard. By the way, it's a bit off topic, but what's you thinking of Atlas casting? I love Atlas casting. I think he's one of the best play-by-plays there is, if not the best. I'd have no problem with people saying he's the best. This is very aggressive. So they want to push and they want to go in. And they're playing for this Herald, but they want to go deep so that they can try and look for picks. So Doran is just continuously bringing the pain there as well. So like, you have a poke comp, but they don't know where the opponents are. You don't have vision control, so it just kind of does. Everyone's got flash though, except from Vi. So everyone on this side's got flash. They missed the opportunity to punish the wave flash, which is really important for these pick comps. But Victor's going to come back up as well. And you've got no flash on Xin and Vi, but other than that. He just can't quite. And if you don't get the kill, like this, I completely get. You could say, okay, right, you shouldn't go over the wall. You should just let him away. But I think everyone assumes he just dies here. I mean, I don't think Lens needs to be there to die. So it's going to be they're going to lose the Herald, but instead they just play hard on the cross map. This is what I really like. We need to do this more. You just say, right, fuck it, like, we're pushing everywhere else. Faker just TPs. He doesn't even base in TP, he just TPs to make sure we get this tower. Kate push up in mid, they push up in bot. And now Jay's TPs towards top to collect. And actually we traded, we died and then traded in a tower for Herald, which is worth like the best you can expect to get with this Herald is in a tower. Like tier 2. You'll probably get mid with it. Faker does have to outplay this as well, I guess. No, he doesn't. He could have even based. But it's no... barrier. I had a feeling that this worked, does not have way. I mean, the jumping over the wall, like I say, I think it's okay. Like, you can't expect to not go for that. Like, if you let this guy live here because you say, I know I'll die as Elise, then you miss out on way more kills than you die from. So you need to just go on this, for sure.
The fact that the guy chase this aggressively was a bit too much. Fisher is just there, ends up doing an incredible amount of damage, particularly to carry out. I don't know if he does it with Zoltaf and the way the TP come in. And then here, Bloodhands just... We did not need to do that, sir. No. No, we didn't. Could have just made it out. His efforts were no longer necessary. But the real story is then that T1 immediately responds, gets the inner towards the bot side of the map. The kills are still relevant. And again, I do want to repeat, I do think that there is still good outs for Nongshim here. Yep. If they're able to kind of keep the game in space. If they get another dragon, which buys them a ton of time, that could potentially...
So they are going to take this tower. We don't defend it as T1 because it's just nothing. You can't defend this for very long at all. And it's like fake it being there. If you go to defend it, it dies and then you die as well. So they have pushing bot. They have this really long lane to play with. So especially because Atakan is spawning up here, this is really nice because when you push this the whole way, like I said, you have all the time. I think this tower's even gone as well, right? Or not? No. Okay. But you have all the way until it comes back here before you can do anything. But from Nongshin's side, as soon as it gets like here or here, it's a real threat to like break open your base. So even though it's a long lane technically for both teams, but it's much better for the team that has the towers. No, I just mean overall the call to go in there in the first place is tricky because of champion design of way. It's yeah, I mean, I think any mid laner who's waiting there, you probably one-shot the Elise. Like if it's Azir, you ult and then knock them back towards tower. Like Elise probably dies because mid is literally waiting right there. But it is also obnoxious and you can't return fire because it's way. I think stuff like way is really good into Elise, obviously, because anything hits her and she's already like half HP. Hey, Annixon. The program is called Epic Pen. And then I just set up hotkeys. So for me, it's Control-Shift-2. Makes this. And then I can get rid of one thing or get rid of all of it. But it's very simple to set up and it runs over everything. The one thing I would say is that if you've got one monitor, you should make sure that your ghost mode is enabled. And then because you have this thing, but then when I close it, it just stays. So if you have one monitor, you need to have ghost mode so that you don't have it just always on the side of the screen. That's a small coaching tip. Excuse me. Okay. So if we look at how these fights are going to go, so of course T1 have a bit of a lead. It's much less of a lead than it was because even though it's the same gold, it's much less as a potential. No, Paragon, I've not seen this game. I don't know the result. So I'm going to do them as like blind reviews. I think it's a good balance where you get my actual thoughts rather than my thoughts knowing that T1 won or knowing that Nongshim won. So you actually can see what I really thought, not what I can evaluate afterwards. And the other thing is just more interesting. It's more fun for me to not know who's going to win because I want to watch it anyway. And so I'm just watching it basically with you guys. So, of course, anytime you have Elise, picks are a threat. She's like a one champion pick comp, especially once she gets that, even at support. So even though they've not got single target instant CC to follow up other than the Caitlyn, you still are in threat of that. Whenever you have a poke comp, if you get control of the area, so you push these lanes in, it'd be better if this tower was gone, for example. And then if enemy has no vision in this area, it's just a nightmare. Like it's so hard for them to come in. And so they have to come in really, really slowly because the only person who can really face check probably is the Hens. And even then, if he hasn't procced Aftershock, he's still in danger to just being one shot. So that's how they want to play. So the fact that Nongshim already have this control is better because there's also the same problem. who face checks. Like Xin can face check and ult straight away, but if he hasn't, if he's ulted before the fight even starts, that's a tough one. And there's single target CC, single target CC, single target CC, and burst from Wei. So whoever has control has an advantage. So it'll be interesting to see what they go with this, considering it's just second dragon.
How do they actually play out the late game fights without someone to start them in a favorable position?
Yeah, they just say, okay, fuck it. Like, we don't go for that. We go through mid and hopefully towards top.
Once Fisher finishes that second item. Gravity field coming down, just trying to toy. That's going to work. The dragon is going to be picked up. Nongshim with control of an area, also very scary as far as this competition is concerned, the way they can play it.
So they blast clone up this way. Jace goes this side. I think if they'd have gone harder for that, they can actually play for this tower rather than just getting camps, but you're still getting something. So rather than just watching it, they instantly make the call, okay, let's not go. We just go to the top half. Then they reset and they're out on the map for the next sequence, like a little quicker than they would be. Mostly just looking at the main map, to be honest. See how they move around the map.
T1, if they do get out of con, they can turn that into a couple more turrets. Because mid lane turret still standing is actually a big deal. Yeah. And pretty important.
So the fact that these two towers are still up is actually quite annoying for T1. So that's why I would have liked them to just harder commit for it. Like I said, you're going to use this to get mid lane. Ooh, wait, I'll come into that in a second. Same thing. These like pockets of vision are really strong because both teams want to get picks. So flash instant from Lehens to trade flashes with Faker is really good. Getting the flash down on Victor is super obnoxious. Now any like Vi can be followed up with from miles away, and it's
still 50 CS behind, but it's still going to be Aurora, as it turns out, as this game goes on. So I have to be a bit scared about what King can actually do in a combo. He has no fear.
Then they push back through. Mid tower doesn't even quite die, so when you traded Herald for inner tower, definitely better to get the inner tower. People don't do that enough. Just fully hard commit for the cross map.
And that's frightening, man. Ooh, he done now for Smash. Faker can get it, they understand as well. Owner, I imagine, also getting close towards the second item. Faker got it back now. That might be the opportunity for T1 to pull that trigger on Icon, as Faker actually cancelling his back there. Wanted to shove out one more wave. That was going to come in from Fisher. Now is his Horizon focus done. So, looking for this Icon.
Thought she was just going to E in to hit the tower. So this tower is, they're holding it as long as they can, but it's just going to die the first wave they're not on it.
The item strength that he has right now. Collector IE, one of the better 2 item spikes that you can get for a Caitlyn, but it's still 2 items on Caitlyn. Kind of want 4 before you're really happy. You're very happy on 1, but then it's kind of a wait until 3 or 4, and then you're happy again. But, ow, it's also the ability to actually walk up.
Yeah, so there you go. They lose the tower. And during this time, they reset. So Faker and Owner reset together. So that's another use of time that we often don't think about, is that you do need to get back out, like back off the map and out on it. We went Proto Belt instead. That's interesting. That might be better in competitive, by the way. I've seen most people just go Storm Surge. But if you're organized enough and your other people are following up, then getting more cocoons to hit is probably better than having your full combo do more damage. Because you have to assume that people won't be hit without you having that extra dash as well. You said it, man. We've got actually 2 item spikes on everyone, except for the sports, but they've got 1, and that's actually parity as well. It's so even, yeah. It is. Of course, all items are not equal and things like this, but it's kind of cool that we've got legendary for everyone. Yeah. So is Faker just a little bit disjointed here? So Elise is backing, but it's just the support. Own is taking Gromp, and I think, yeah, so because they have this vision on Gromp, so this is the benefit of like deep vision, is not only does it let you see people, but it and punish them, but it also lets you punish other things. Like I think Fake is too far forward here. Also doesn't have flash.
It was successful bait, as in that the bait got eaten. But there was no... Yeah, sometimes the fish just eats it and then swims away. Yeah.
There's nothing they can take with it, though, especially with Faker getting King and really low.
And you do see Nongshim, obviously, with that catch on the top side of the map, then want to turn that man advantage into playing towards Dragon. But then T1 now uses opportunity to rotate over, force a response from Nongshim.
So because the dragon is the other side of Matakan as well, it starts to get a bit like fiddly because Faker has TP. So as soon as you base, you still like that means he can be here in what 18 seconds or however long it takes at this stage. I still haven't managed to work it out. I think max range TP is like 6 seconds with Unleashed, whatever it is. So as soon as Vi goes towards bot lane, because it's not where Baron is, it's where Atakan is.
Maybe the bait was successful after all. The problem is T1 needs to kill Fisher, because if they're actually fighting Atakan, he's going to do so much damage to them. Doran on a flank angle, he has to flash. He has to flash. As Doran is going to discover the rest of the Fisher flashes into him.
This is aggressive. I mean, he's tanky. He's more tanky than normal Jace, but this is a wild one. I'm just going to blind run in for a mega flank on the person who's sitting in Baron pit. They stopped them doing Dragon, I guess, but it's a little bit silly. So Faker makes a mistake, and then they try to punish the mispositioning from Nongshim, but they just went way too deep. It's so hard to do Atakan against Poke, right? Yeah, he saw Vi, but also I think even though he didn't see the people up in the Tribush, I think you can tell from the way that Fisher is positioning that he's not by himself. I don't know what he's thinking, or maybe they thought his flash was down or something. If his flash is down and you're going to queue over and save yourself while also killing him, I mean, this is really sloppy. Because I think Ezreal just shows bot, doesn't he? So they've got the 3 dragons, and whoever has those is going to be really obnoxious to play against, because now every dragon you have to play for as T1, and Nongshim can give them up. And that's even more important because both comps can't really face check, and both comps have loads of pick tools. So if it was like, I don't know, both teams are front to back, then it's less of a big deal, because those kind of team fights where one team has control, the team with control will still always have an advantage, but it won't be as big a one. Now, though, it's just so hard to face check. Like, honestly, if they have full control of Dragon, you should still think about just giving them Soul. Maybe you don't actually do it, but it should still actually be a consideration. It's Infernal Soul as well. But then Ezreal just shows bot to push out a wave while they have no control of this area. And they just give Atakan. I mean, but that's not a trade. They're not trading Atakan for this. They're trading control of Atakan for this. Then Ezreal runs to fix bot lane. They're trading fixing bot lane for this Atakan. Yeah, just me. I don't think that's worth it. I feel like there was a good thing about the Dragon, and then they had an opportunity to not just give this up. But they're going to. And so Icon is going to be picked up. They do not commit to trying to kill them after the Icon goes down, which we've seen a few times. This is still a huge deal for T1. They should be able to push up this top side, and we'll see what the strategy is. We've seen Icon used in different ways here in the LCK Cup. So we'll see what they do with it. Now, they don't have the like super tools. They can dive, but it's not like they have Ornn to just like force a fight. Instead of 100. We are not. So you do have a lot more reckless abandon. What I imagine T1's going to do is just full send it on Baron, and as long as you trade at least a kill or two, particularly if it's someone like Doran with STP available, that's going to be a trade issue every single time. If they don't start Baron and they just trade kills, it's always going to be... Well, but they're doing that thing of starting the Baron. If they're starting it, they really need to insta-fight. So Faker's already doing it. This is like a fake start. This is not a start. This is not really starting it. They're really playing for the fight. Why would Kingen do this? Or Ezreal? I mean, he's insane. Ezreal showing bot lane there is terrible. He knows they're around top side. He knows that whoever has control, it's so hard to check them. Him showing on the wave literally just gives Atakan. He could base and then come back, and they would have time to defend it. So here, Kerry's waiting here. Faker goes up here. Like, they're really not playing for this fight. This is just completely fake. They stay as a group, and they're trying to get picks. So coming this way. And this is what I think LEC teams are trying to do when they just rush Baron when they have Atakan. but then they get distracted when Baron gets low, and they're like, oh, maybe we can actually play for it. So I think what you do here as Nongshing, if enemy is starting Baron when they have Atakan, don't contest quickly. Contest as slow as possible so that it becomes like a 50-50. And then you're just nullifying the Atakan at least.
And they are able to get themselves out. Thankfully, Fisher has a lot of abilities. In fact, way too many to remember the names of. And that line of damage, not going to be something they want to walk through. Now, King in looking for Faker here as he does a lot, but may also just die as Gaze. No, threats the needle. They do trade. Never mind, they don't trade it because it goes back to the base for a little while. And so that will be the T1. Excellent use.
He also then trades. But again, I was just praising Atlas, and of course, this has got nothing to do with play-by-play casting. But the narrative around this is like good use of Atakan, and this would have worked without Atakan. Up until this moment, Atakan has done nothing.
Never mind, they don't trade it because Faker just goes back to the base for a little while. And so that will be the Baron over to T1. Excellent use of this Atakan to get an even bigger buff.
They have the confidence to do it.
We know how much T1 love their, because I'm not going to talk about the Baron, right? The moment the Atakan was gone, this is what's going to happen. I think T1 played out nicely, but again, they can play wickedly reckless event. Faker also does a good job of kicking out of the fight. Nongshing can't really commit to this, even if the health bars are low. But I want to talk a little bit, because there was no need. I am 100% sure that if both Gideon and Jiu, someone should have taken that. Yeah, Fisher probably could have. Definitely could have taken that. Wouldn't have changed the situation again, but definitely should have. But if they woke up the moment that the dragon is taken, T1 can't Atakan. And I think that Atakan was the way for T1 to get back. Now they got Atakan, now they got dragon. That's why I was celebrating for Nongshing. I'm like, oh, this time
now it's top tower.
And now, I think T1 are firmly in the driver's seat again. Vision is being denied, traps are being set up.
Now it's really hard to play against this siege. They need to go for like a flank like this. Like, even if this doesn't work, this is what you need to do. Because if you just let them play out this whole Baron, it's so hard. Even this like hybrid, not hybrid, but like Bruiser Jace still does a lot of poke, but also under tower, if anyone catches a cocoon, they're just going to get chain CC'd and killed. Faker has TP, but you're already TPing first, so the proactive TPs are much better now than they used to be. Okay, so the combo doesn't land, the timing. The Lens just needs to flash, I think. I mean, watch this at normal speed. Okay, he's just too far. The timing of this is just a little off, but this is exactly what you need to do. Like, he needs to already be going. Okay, he also tried to Q flash, I think, and just shorted it. Which would have allowed Smash to flash over the wall. Yeah, so because that doesn't land, they don't just chain CC. Now it's going to be probably the end of the game. So, massive mistake for Ezreal just showing bot lane. By that point, I think they had a much better... They actually were in a good spot. Picking this Aurora, though, you need to know this was coming. So, they take the opportunities, but for me, it's more about Nongshing than it is about T1 here. So, I think that lane swap was quite scuffed, and that's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run and blow my nose because I'm struggling to breathe. I'll let this draft play out a little bit, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about the end of the draft. Skarner just perma-banned. Good fun. Yeah, so 1 minute.
Taken off the board. The Leona ban actually quite interesting. Means that it sort of deals with Lehens pretty early on, right? Because the Nautilus is already taken away, so they're sort of his two most pivotal champions. Yeah. That's odd. Maybe Rakan Prio as well? Yeah. Sejuani's interesting. Like, do they want to force out a Jax pick? Do you... So this works really well with Ambessa and with the Yone that are still up and available. They could theoretically play both in this draft, and then Jiwoo can just go into his bag of tricks, right? This guy plays all sorts of champions. And K'Sante going to be locked in. No-brainer there. Doran has been fantastic on this champion. So then Kingen is most likely going to play Jax. Like maybe Jax Yone, and then hope they don't ban Ziggs. I mean, the Ambessa K'Sante matchup isn't that bad. Yeah, it's also fine. So, speaking of which, that is going to be looked at here. Where it's going is an interesting question. Because it's going to be locked in. More likely than not, the Ambessa is going into the mid lane. We did see a time where K'Sante was...
Okay, I'm back.
I don't know whether it's going to be as popular. Last time we saw Ambessa was actually Fisher playing it, and it was a catastrophe.
Sejuani?
the debut of Ambessa in
Sejuani just fully went through the last draft.
Maple, and he won, and it was really good. So you never know what's going to happen.
It was Vi 1-2 and Zin 2-3. Okay, so Sedge, sure. You then want to draft like double melee solo lanes if you can. Cassante open and Bessa open, and they take both. Super obnoxious because that's one of the trades. Ambessa is much worse than the lane swap, but one of the trades that we see quite a lot is Ambessa on one side, Cassante on the other. So maybe they wanted Sedge and these two if they could somehow.
All of like the amazing, crazy ice cream flavors, and then being like, nah, vanilla.
Oh my goodness! Sorry, I'm gonna have to go blow my nose again.
It'll probably get the job done, and Sejuani Renekton can work, but it doesn't really fill me with joy.
Well, it's even like, I think really good vanilla gets kind of a bad rap. You know,
That's
when you get,
true,
if
but
you go to a really good ice cream place and you get vanilla, it's generally exceptional. I don't even feel that way about the Renekton though, as we have Owner on Lilia. I think Owner had an exceptional game number 1 on the Zinzao.
He did.
Performance on the champion, I think, has always been just insanely consistent to the point where teams have started to burn counter picks, the last year spring Kazakhs counter pick.
Okay, we got it. So with these solo lanes, you want to carry AP jungler, so it's like Brand, Zyra, those kind of things. Also someone who can just out farm, but versus triple melee. I love the Lily here. I think it's insanely good. Let me skip to the end of the draft.
You know, the champion that you just really don't want to see carry on if you are the opposition.
Okay, so as soon as you got Jinx, is the lane swap you got to think about. Varus is gone. Ashe is gone. Corki is up. So they really don't have high prior on Corki. I don't know if that's this matchup or LCK. If someone's seen more LCK, let me know.
There's nothing fine about what Nongshim just did. First, they hard countered themselves. Jiwa just walks in the champion that you pick Jinx into. And then they don't even do the thing that you're supposed to pick it for. You can play Rel with anyone. Miss Fortune would have been A-okay. Well, Atlas, I was kind of
yeah.
my favorite flavor.
This is weird. So I think she... Like, so these two... Not even these three. These two die as good into people who are diving on her. But now you just don't need to, and you can still... Like, it's still really hard. And this... I think is really tough because you are, when you're sleeped, you still get sleeped. I don't really like this Nongshim draft, like all of it. I think if you're going to take these first 3, you have to build a full dive comp. You can't take like Zyra or something. Even if the matchup was better, and I don't think the matchup is good. And lane swap is always going to be a threat where you've got Cassante and you've got Lulu and Jinx. So, once again, we'll see. Okay, so let's see how this lane swap prediction and battle always comes, you know, right? It's one team wants it, one team thinks the other team wants it. Like, how do we get there? Because Renekton in the swap and Jinx Lulu, even if the lane is fine. So, Nongshim, more aggressive level 1 again. So they can push in. They push in and take vision. And they want to go for these wards, right? These are the classic. It's like you either go here, here, or you go here, here, here. And you're just trying to see who's going where so that you can try and predict it and take your best choice.
I mean, being Chronicler, at least, I'm sure there's some of you in the...
Yeah, I think the Akali is weird. Well, it's into Ambessa, right? You've got Cassante and Ambessa. You think probably Ambessa's going mid, but I think you can do Cassante in either. But you already know that they're... Well, in the end it's fine, but Lulu is also really obnoxious to deal with as Akali because you interrupt one dash with the ult on anyone. And
which makes me a little bit frightened given the location of Lehens right now. Owner is not aware. I do not think. No, he was. Lehens is just backing on a ward. Yeah, never mind. Okay, so he's aware of everything. So they do know. Oh, T1 is setting it. It's plans within plans, base within base, and now they are going to fade on top of Nongshim. Oh, Lehens with some fancy... That just no. Jiwoo has...
So they put some wards down and they go for they bring the extra people up to this side anyway. Zai's going to open through mid and then pick the lanes they want, like to go either side. They think that Owner... okay, so Owner is just baiting and they're all waiting.
T1 is setting it. It's plans within plans, base within base, and now they are going to cascade on top of Nongshim. Oh, Lens with some fancy footwork. They're actually able to get out. Does have to expend
so even though they don't get kills on this,
to make sure that Fisher is going to die to Smash.
Okay, they do get they don't get kills.
And
Yeah,
there's the flash forward from Smash. Gets the flash finally out of Fisher. Jiwoo might be the one that pays for his sins.
but he's got the lethal tempo as well. There's an absolute disaster.
But, you know, if you're surviving, you find some water in the desert, but you're still in the desert, and you're...
You have to take variants, I think, as if you're Nongshing, but just because it's against T1 and I don't like this draft, but it's just well read and a really nice bait. So they invade, they put down wards in the classic places, and so T1 have wards to see who's there, and they just collapse waiting on the Lilia. This could have been like Xerath Vel'Koz support angle, not really, but still. I think those champs will never be good in competitive, I think. You have to just run. He had to just run.
Meanwhile, we have Ambassa versus the mid Xayah, which I mean, Gio also isn't very happy about that because he doesn't have any early threat, and if Ambassa gets on top of him, he just kind of gets dumped. Fisher now gets back to lane. Well, gets to lane for the first time. Yeah, well, gets back to 8 lane. Okay, so what went better? The second half of the draft or the early game for Nongshim?
This is a bit of a tragedy.
That wasn't talking about the thing.
Yeah, that wasn't talking about that. There's also the fun and engaging conversation. It's keep going the way it is, but what's your favorite combo of Ice Whip, which is a whole other thing. Because
I mean, I gave you my top 2, so I mean...
Okay, but you don't.
Oh, yes, you do.
Oh, so you just slammed the character?
So like already this is really hard. I think from the draft and from the way this early game has gone, this is already super hard. And now Smash and Carrier can just keep running around, keep swapping. Oh my god. It's a tragedy. Why did everyone vote for this game? Is it just because it's T1? Like, this is just going to be over, I think. This is going to be like the world's shortest stream.
It doesn't get better. God, I think it was a burned Atlas. Yeah, I'm going to go back to talk about the ice cream thing. I had a whole philosophical conversation to have as now King and Slicin and Dyson trying to get underneath this start. He will make it there. And Lehens is going to be able to help him out as well. Oh, man.
I mean, this bait is good from T1. Other than that, in this game, they're just collecting Nongshing's big mistakes and...
Really have to carry in the flash. Yeah.
I mean, he would have lived, but he still would have flashed away from a Lulu. As a Renekton.
It would have felt bad, but... Well, not only would it have felt like a defeat, it would
Oh,
be a defeat.
sorry.
It would be better dying without TP.
And using flash anyway.
So the one upside for Nongshim, and I'm really kind of stretching it here, but Doran, you know,
the Nexus is alive?
Yeah. Doran did have to walk back to lane because he didn't have TP because of the weird early situation, and Kingen was just farming away happily, so they have a little bit of gold lead there. And maybe this is T1 who now gets overconfident and over-invested.
Them into a false intercept.
Doran, you know,
the Nexus is alive?
Yeah. Doran did have to walk back to lane because he didn't have TP because of the weird early situation.
And using flash.
Let's see.
Really have to carry in the flash. Yeah.
I mean, he would have lived, but he still would have flashed away from a Lulu. As a Renekton.
It would have felt bad, but... Well, not only would it have felt like a defeat, it would be a defeat. It would be better dying without TP.
And using flash anyway.
So the one upside for Nongshim, and I'm really kind of stretching it here, but Doran, you know, the Nexus is alive. Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally trying to think what can you do here if you're Nongshing? So you have top push. You can overload through mid because you have bot push. So you even though this is the objective, they've traded this push to then come to mid so that we have push here and push here. So it's like both sides pro have given them the start on this objective. But T1, I don't think even needs to like do anything here, and they just chill and they're fine. And they can also still push them away, and Faker is TP'd, and so they're still not going to get all three while they're also losing stuff bot. So T1 play it slow, knowing that they're in a fine scaling spot, and they still deny you. They still take grubs. I mean, Scuttle. It's already just super hard. And now you're going to put Jinx Lulu in mid mostly, and so they're going to have mid push and just run to one side, overload it, mid push side, mid push side. Yeah, there you go. So they're just going to come up here.
Alongside you long enough to know that you always go for more coffee. I feel like you're a little bit more like cultured, you know, like you'd like, oh well, I think that this complements this other flavor. Yeah, no, so for example,
yeah, it's a tragedy.
Like to couple it with like something else like yogurt, raspberry, mango, raspberry. Yeah, that's a classic combo. You know, you can go water tropical flavors. Look at transpiring here. Okay,
look at the adorable snowman, and he's.
I mean, this is crazy. I think if you see this Ambessa and Cassante pick and you want to take Renekton, you have to just put Renekton where Ambessa goes, because if Ambessa goes top, then also the lane swap is worse. Whereas if Ambessa goes mid and you can't put Renekton mid and pick someone who's better in the swaps, like if you like, I don't mind Akali Renekton in the sense that they both can do okay into both matchups. Like Renekton into Mombasa is a great matchup, but you won't get that elite player matchup. You can see them swap last second or anything like that. But the problem is that both Akali and Renekton are not great in the lane swap. So that's the extra thing you need to think about. And that's the really obnoxious thing about Jace, is that especially tank Jace is fine in the lane swaps. So he's got the flex of builds, flex of positions, and flex of being a good in the lane swap or not. But as soon as you can't take Xayah Rel, like as soon as you see Jinx, you have to know that it also can be Jinx Lulu, and they can just be running around like perma swapping around on him.
And I think the Trump has also made sure that like he just actually never just doesn't get to play again. He doesn't have flash, so it's not like he can. Even if he flashes, doesn't matter. Smash just waits out. Oh, there we go. Carrier might die.
Okay, they get a pick because Carrier walks in for absolutely no reason. so there's that.
Even if he flashes, doesn't matter. Smash just waits out. Oh, there we go. Carrier might die. What? No, that is illegal. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, he's dead.
Oh my goodness. And it's not that we wanted Carrier to die there in any way, but that would have been too much.
But it's already 2k gold lead, even with that mistake, and it's going to cost you the dive. Carrier's rushing back. Does he catch him? Ah, I don't. I mean, it's still a tragedy, isn't it? Because look at this, like you can't threat, like Casante's just chilling here. He's definitely saying in comms, don't worry about it, they cannot dive me. I'm fine.
Would have seen the surrender boat come up.
Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. If the Lulu just walks in alone, no prio. I guess you get a little bit of mid lane prio. And then this actually really well done by Fisher. Doesn't have his ult or flashes, you have to use it, but both canceling the recall there. I can't believe he actually has enough damage to take it down here.
I think he shouldn't W, he should just run, and I think maybe Lulu would have been there in time to shield.
Earlier, so you're in range for a shield, but that's hindsight.
Yeah, that's 2020. That was a while ago now.
We will have a possible fight here, and if Nongshim just slam another one of these, now there is ult for carry, and Smash has cleanse, so this might be a bit of a hard one.
Nongshim at least can go even on grubs.
Okay.
If they get all of these, then they're actually capable of getting towards a feat of strength, perhaps. The Baker's moved up. King has moved down, though.
Nongshim just slash, knowing that Carrier was there. Carrier on the verge. Yeah. Funnily enough, maybe the play there was to heal earlier, so you're in range for a shield, but that's hindsight.
I don't think you need to lose these grubs here, as you have teleport advantage. Oh, you don't. Okay, I thought you had teleport advantage, but Akali is bot lane. So because you get loose push in mid, you have to like fight this really aggressively if you're going to fight. Jinx has no flash, Carrier has no flash. Both of those are really bad. Xayah has everything, both sums and flash, and both sums and ult. Sorry. So Ona starts it. I don't think you should start it though. You just wait and then you can have Ambessa on the flank. Like so, normally we talked. You know, there's a video on my YouTube about these connect wards, like having a space or bridge wards space to get there as Ambessa. But actually, Ambessa needs them much less than anyone else because you have the ult and you're also really good on a flank. So you can wait for the objective to start, come down with Lulu, and try and play this, and I guess they just wait the Renekton ult, so maybe you don't want to fight. But again, you're just not in a rush as T1. Like, T1 could just let them have shit, play it really, really slowly, and you still are going to collapse, and you're still going to be able to find... It's just a tragedy everywhere. You're still going to be in a great spot later on. Like, okay, it would be better if we had grubs, but enemy got 5-1. So they got something at least. And this is the matchup that you wanted. This matchup is the disaster. And so they really look, they're going to swap. Kazante runs straight top, teleport top. They both teleport to instantly go to the other sides because these are the matchups that you wanted as T1. Now you're going to put two people in mid and try and play for this dragon. And you have Ambessa into Akali. He's got the 8 gold bounty. Height. They still, again, they're starting this before they get the push.
You're not yet. They need the dragon. I think that's fair. Fisher doesn't have his ultimate just yet, but does have his rocket valve now at the ready. And T1, for how well they've been playing, it's still a Jinx composition on only a single item, so maybe there's an opportunity here.
Feel a whole lot of feel like we were talking about. Land takes a lot of his health and damage.
Get in. This is your moment. They can let it go. And they would have to invest King CP as well with Thorn's Realm over. So I don't think that this was necessarily that call as it is the Ocean Rift. Great item. So maybe there's...
If they get Hex Tech Rate, I'm back in the game with you.
You're not yet. Not yet.
And if you look at what Doran does, so Doran comes down towards mid, and he fully commits on the roam. At this point, he could run back to top lane, but enemy has TP, so he just fully commits.
Gideon, this is your moment. They can let it go. And they would have to invest King CP as well.
And so they're going to lose some plates top for it.
That call as it is the Ocean Rift racing as in King is actually going to get a good amount of gold. Pedal. Why would you not just hit it?
Why do you wouldn't take the petal there? I'm not sure.
It's sort of right there. It's like the Cinders all over again. Watching, he is also fuming right now. It's free stacks. Yeah.
Doran gets the top.
Oh, man. All right, well, I'm gonna be getting those.
And if he had TP, he would run down a bit. He would probably run down to like here to make sure that they don't have a play on him on the other side, and then he would just run back to top.
Side of the map as well.
So that he can collect the wave.
All right, Baker's gonna be dashing around. Not sure he can backflip. Connect there from Fisher. Stops the back.
I mean, maybe he'd overextend and be a possible counterplay on the other side of the map, but what he should do is what I said.
Oh, you felt the Fisher wanted it, but he was definitely gonna die. Well, actually, I think that with that ult, Faker also dodged the first half of the Akali ultimate, and he got a little bit of a dash there while locking down the hands. So actually, really nice on Faker. If he doesn't hit that ult, might not be able to get out with his life. So good save there, because Fisher definitely gonna be the main con that Noshima are probably looking toward, and then hopefully scale into GU 1v9 at some point. The range disadvantage plus the fact that there's a Lulu on the enemy team is something that we're gonna have to, deal with as we go. But at least Faker is being kept on the back foot. Another push possibility there for Nongshin, who do have 5 grubs, so I think a little bit of time left with these turrets. And try and look for Geo might have to flash here, at least use his ult. Wow, that is nerves of steel. Yeah, I mean, he didn't even press ghost. Like, I'm kind of wondering if he should. There's no objective up. So realistically, the wave has been unfortunate. Types in all chat wanted to back anyway. I think Geo is saying he thinks this game's winnable. Nerves of steel. But at least
I think he can die here, can't he? Maybe not. Oh, he has ult and flashing and stuff, I guess. But if you lose flash at this stage, it's like really annoying. Because flash won't be up for the next objective, but ults will. So, like, nah, because if you ult, because I think you should ult as owner as well. Because okay, the kill is unlikely, but if you can make him flash. Because as I said, if you ult and he ults, then he's still going to be CC'd on the way back down. And so Jinx ult is going to make him flash. Flash is not going to be up for Dragon, but all the ults will. So this is the like cooldown disparity that I think some teams, like top LPL teams especially, like really take advantage of. They just throw cooldowns to get the summoners, and then they play differently once those summoners are down. And they just punish them super hard.
Gideon looking to try and get out of the way. Bowling ball goes wide because of that. They actually had an angle there. Yeah, Noshima are like they're on the map now, and they're behind by 2,000 gold, which is a lot. But that's the same as last game, and we were kind of talking about last game as being. Maybe I'm in it with you. We're locked in. We're doing it. It's a real video. Lands is on the flank. They are unaware of it. Spotted here. Oh god, not the same spot. Oh, right.
So they just lose these.
And they're behind by 2,000 gold, which is a lot. But that's the same as last game, and we were kind of talking about last game as being. Maybe I'm in it with you. We're locked in. We're doing it. It's a real video. Lands is on the flank. Ball goes wide because of that. I don't know why you guys are getting so. I hope so. I hope that's the way Nongshin thinking. Every pro player.
Yeah, especially if you're not taking Cassante, you have to know it's going to be taken. So. So just because they stopped Jinx basing? Yeah, so they're just... Jinx is really low mana. They're moving Renex into mid. The Hen's on a really big flank. But he just gets found and dies. And then they lose bot tower. I think when you've got TP, like I said, like... Renekton comes to mid lane. Oh, no, okay, bot tower's really low. Okay, forget that. I get when it's that low, like, it sucks to lose first tower. And you can go back to, could have gone back, but they were playing really hard for the fight on that Herald. So they really wanted to play for, if T1 fight that Herald and Lands is on the big flank, then that's, I think, their way, back into the game. But now they lose the feats of strength thing, even though they get Herald. And it's still hard. Like, it's still really hard. I think it's just so difficult to play this whole compass and launcher. It's not even just the Cassante. I don't even want to say get a grasp on the game because I feel like we're a couple of plays off of that, but at least he allowed to play the game again because now it's almost 3.5k. We have coming back flank, and if at first you don't succeed in finding a flank angle, just go for it again. So they have to go for a flank angle again. He's ulted, so he's charging up his rage, and they're playing on this objective. But if you look at, okay, Dragon's coming up in now. No flash on owner, but flash still on smash, although no cleanse. No heal on carrier. Flash still on Xayah, flash on everyone here. So, like, again, this is a window where actually, because there's no cleanse, because there's no flash on this other squishy person, like if they just all flash on owner, they can actually win this. And that's why he's going super hard for this flank. I mean, the ult is a bit early.
It filled up his rage bar, though, as we can see. They get vision on carry here. As now, Lahens, he's driving. Let's see what can happen here as the Glacial Prison goes entirely wide. Owner is in trouble. Nice wild growth.
Yeah, so they go for owner, like you said.
Well, as it turns out, he did. It filled up his rage bar, though, as we can see. They get vision on carry here. As now, Lahens, he's driving.
So they just insta go on owner here. Yeah, because they know it's like no flash. Okay, the ult misses, unfortunate. Because the first ult misses, he's able to get Q ult down, which does a bunch of damage. So if that ult hits, then he just dies. It's 1-for-1, 1-for-0 on tower. But it's still so hard. So you've got no tools now to get on Jinx, but you were able to get that one pick. So here, if this Sedge ult hits as well, then I think you kill him before he even gets a chance to do anything. But instead, he gets that ult, which does a bunch more damage, also slows them, all that kind of thing.
Maybe they've gotten another member. Lahens is again behind on the line. At this point, I think T1 not going to be even remotely surprised. He knows that he's been walking over wards and like getting into awkward situations all game, and so he trolls us when he does it again on a control ward. Oh, so he's trying to clog up the call. Lahens. Yeah, it is very Lahens. Yeah. Not ideal for winning the game.
So Jinx has got both summoners up. Carrier's got both summoners back. Owner's nearly got flash back.
It really has. I think you were right. You're absolutely
And we still got no flash on the hens, so
by the ice cream conversation. I actually think you did good work there.
it's tough.
People probably wanted to hear more about ice cream, but now the game's got in the way. As Faker's also just going to dive on top of you. I think you were right.
So a really nice catch on to get the Zyl. He might die for it afterwards. But. Yeah, so the hen's still going for these flanks, which we still need to keep trying. Like even if previous ones didn't work, it doesn't change how the game is played. You still need to get flanks.
Now the game's got in the way. As Faker's also just going to dive on top of you. He does have to use his Metastorm. He dodges the damage of those Metas and Faker's out of there. He's like a
Okay, so he gets his ult and zones them all away, so King and dies instead. And all these flanks look silly because of how they turn out, but they're still the thing that you need to do. And this is what I think we get wrong a lot in the West, where like we're not as sure about what our comp needs to do, and so when something goes wrong, it seems like we then change our mind, or we don't go super hard for it, or like the Silas is waiting on Baron, or whatever we saw from last week, where he just always needs to get the flanks.
So really well done by the fight there. King, unfortunately, this time he gets us over from there's too many, so he's still looking at the value that he's dreaming of. And now Icon is here. T1 have carte blanche to do whatever they want for the next minute and 50 seconds.
Now they've got that scan as well. This time they can like just rush at someone, rush at the team and dive. So that's why Nongxin have to play really quite defensively when they have to just always be aware of it. It's flanks though. We keep going for flanks. Okay, but the problem is that they go for flanks, but their 3 is just gets instantly collapsed on. Like if you're gonna fight this, if G was coming as if we're fighting this, they're moving here, but he just goes too quick, and so he just instantly has to ult the 2 ults. And then everyone's like, okay, bail. Because by that point, this is going to die. And then the annoying thing about it is that not only will this die, but Jinx will get a reset on the tower.
And they decided to it, and I do not blame them as Lahens. He could just be all out of here, so decent Magnus Dawn to buy some time for it. Oh, Gideon, he books it and dives underneath.
Now they do get the flank.
I think it might still be a rough time for Nongxin, but Gideon makes it out, and there's another ticket home here for Doran as well.
So it's kind of would be a 2-for-0, right, on this flank? But now they're just going to double teleport back.
The sleepies come down. Owner is likely to die. Never mind. Actually, the turret just goes down, and Owner is still alive. Goes down again, Fisher at least gets himself 100 gold. But they'll lose an inhibitor for it. That's 2. So maybe he's almost got a kill's worth of money here. If he dies, then that's actually a huge.
Yeah, so on this flank, if it wasn't for the false lives, you would have got like 3 or 4 kills for 0. Smash has no cleanse as well. He needs to, I was going to say not use flash. Because next time, like, he's not going to have flash for dragon because of this. Like, you have to just die here. Although I don't think...
Somewhat doable as he flashes in to execute Smash. Permafrost being used what feels like the first time this game as well. We're keeping Doran alive for way too long. And Owner gets so much AoE damage is disgusting. And now Faker is corralling on the hens. He's at death's door as G was just trying his best to be alive in this situation. Another pack of feathers that is going to do nothing as it's a triple for Owner as he just tidies up Nongxin. Somehow it's Lahens that's the last man standing. But I don't know whether that really matters at all. T1 moved to a 6,000, 7,000 gold lead, and the base is in tatters. I was really excited to be excited, but unfortunately ended up not quite panning out. Geo gets a flash or his ult force very early on here, and then T1 feels safe to engage or in a lands because they have the buff. But it's Gideon with the long con actually waiting for like a full minute there that ends up getting behind enemy lines, which forces a response. And that alone doesn't really kill anyone, but Doran doesn't have any backup as a result because they have to deal with the Sejuani that's in their midst. And then here, the fact that Smash actually stays alive for as long as he does, between the shield from Cassante and then this, I want you to look at this right here. The fact that Doran gets that dash up and then stays alive for as long as he does. Yeah.
I mean, they just overchased onto the Cassante, but again, you can understand why. Still though, Jinx has no sums for next fight. So, what have we got? Lehen's flash only, but Rel just needs to flash combo Jinx, and if they can get Jinx and Lulu in one flash combo, that's your chance to come back into the game.
Is he in trouble, or is it, I don't know who's in trouble. I think Nongshimmer in trouble. Now Fisher is looking for an angle. He's spotted on what? Magnustorm's there. Zoom Death also helping out with the AoE. Owner turns up though.
Okay, I'll slow it down because it's we're going to some fights now.
Doesn't really matter. Is Doran is he in trouble, or
But the collapse is coming in. Carrier's here. I think you have to go on. I mean, they don't know. This is the problem, is that I don't know how much vision they have, because from us it looks like you have to just go on these two. But I don't think they see them there, and they don't know who's coming. Okay, so now he blues, and so he's going to try and threaten these two. So Fish is just buying time. Just tries to slow them down, but T1 get a good position again. They get back round, and they've got their two beefy front lines in front, and then they've got Jinx Lulu here, and they've got Lilia on the side, and this is like nightmare setup. So you can ult the ult like that, but if it hits you, then you ult it and it'll sleep you as you're coming down. Like as in the sleep doesn't fall off when you're ulting. That's what I'm trying to say.
It must be pretty nice being on T1. 8, 1, and 0 on this Lilia. 3 items complete. Oh my goodness.
I mean, this is just such a free Lilia game, and then he got really fed. But he was always going to get quite fed. So this is going to be Baron. Cleanse is coming back.
Oh, that is. You know what? I was tempted to storm off, but I'm not going to. I'm kind of interested in how T1 decided.
There's not a lot of games we play. You can. It's technical.
Yeah, I mean,
Go.
No, you know,
Go get an ice cream. It's like a last fight. If it was coffee.
It was. That was the problem.
Yeah.
That's so neat. I know. The devastator, unfortunately, way too big. The interesting thing, you haven't really gone to look at yet.
I don't think you can play this much differently, to be honest. As long as like, I'm sure there's small things, but I don't think you can do anything to change the game. This is, I don't know why Deacon keeps appearing on the stream, but
I'm also trying to do keto at the moment. I can never eat that. I just can't eat that. I want the mini-map back. Give me the mini-map. I need the mini-map. That's okay.
and just during this Baron, they're just going to end, I think. Redemption comes through. It's just so difficult, and when you're in the base, you can't get flanks. Okay, they still managed to kill Smash.
On T1 side, maybe dealing with this next arc will be a good idea. As the Flash Polymorph comes in to make sure that you can't get any more work done, but he's still kind of doing it. And now we're throwing these bowling balls around. King and keeping himself up here.
I mean, even with this situation, because Jinx has no sums, they were able to kill the Jinx. Okay. Quick 2-0. I'm actually going to leave it there because I'm not feeling super great and I need to do some more prep for our game later. But I'll keep doing these pro reviews. So for the next one, it will be tomorrow. I'm going to review our games on stream in the afternoon. So from 1 p.m. Then there's going to be the Coach Talk podcast, Coach Support Show, podcast at 5, same as I did last week with Watson. So definitely stick around for that. But for today, I'm going to be done until I think about 7:30. What our game starts after the game before, and so I don't have a specific set time. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do the co-stream. I'll stream without a delay. And then when we come to talking as a team and we get into draft, I'm going to mute my stream because all the players, of course, will be delayed. So I will start stream from 7:30 tonight if anyone's interested in checking out our competitive best of 3. And I will see you guys for the next in-depth review on the next day. And then we'll do break on Saturday and it'll be LEC, and then a couple of other things. And I'll decide if they're going to start them all at 10 or at 11. But I think 11 is probably an easier start time, which allows me to have time to work and go to the gym. Thanks.